If Amari Hampton would have scored 5 points, I would have fallen to 1-1. However, I am now 2-0. I just took down my fantasy football rival, doing the impossible, and now we got to hit the gritty. Avery, I hope you are watching this because I'm on cloud nine. Oh, this could not be better. I am so excited. I was convinced that I was losing today. The matchup I cared most to win, and we come from the depths, the bottom of the barrel, and we win this matchup. Oh my gosh. We'll talk about both games. We'll talk about everything that happened. Hell, we even got Quentin Johnston points for my underdog teams. I know I'm gonna have to calm down eventually, but my heart is beating at probably 200 beats a minute right now. I could not be more excited. Thank you, fantasy gods. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about all the games. I've been stuck to this screen watching these for the past 6 hours, and I've had the best Monday night I possibly could have ever. Starting off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Looking at what we have across the board, honestly, not much changes. Talk about every single player, right? Let's start it off with the quarterback position, and I'll show you my updated rest of season rankings. I mean, I had Baker Mayfield QB5 before this game. Baker gives you some sneaky rushing upside. Or realistically, after the top 4 quarterbacks, all these guys are buns, right? So if we're looking at this, 215 passing yards, multiple passing touchdowns, 33 rushing yards. Nothing's changing here for me with Baker Mayfield. The hope is we get Godwin back soon and Baker just continues to improve. So while technically he's my QB5, the reality of the situation is there's like a top 4 and then 3 teardrops until you get to 5 through 12. Now, looking at the running backs, we actually have Bucky Irving splitting more with Rachaad White this week than what we had previously. We have Bucky Irving with 17 carries in comparison to Rachaad White with 10. However, Bucky comes through with the receiving upside, so Bucky still stays a phenomenal option. Looking at what we have here with Bucky Irving, I am going to move him up our rankings ahead of Ashton Jeanty. We'll get to Jeanty in 1 second and exactly how bad the Raiders are. Full PP. Honestly, I want to move him ahead of Ashton Jeanty. I want to move him ahead of Achane. Looking ahead to next week, the Dolphins project to be a bottom 3 offense in the league. But you do have the Rachaad White goal line touchdown, which was a little bit frustrating for Bucky Irving owners at the end of the game. Ultimately, you still have 12 opportunities for Rachaad White in comparison to 23 for Bucky Irving. So Bucky Irving still very clearly the starting running back in this backfield and still very clearly somebody that we're excited about. Going over and looking at Rachaad White, I want to reiterate, if Bucky were to go down, Rachaad White would probably be a top 12 running back in fantasy. I mean, maybe that's a little aggressive, but Rachaad White would be a must-start name. So I have Rachaad White here with the other premium handcuffs like Tyler Algier. If you wanted to move Rachaad White above Tyler Algier, honestly, if you wanted to move him ahead of Nick Chubb in a full PPR format, I'm going to be fine with it. Nick Chubb's like a good desperation start, but again, the ceiling is going to be severely capped. Nick Chubb's not going to catch the ball. Going over to the receivers, we had Igbuka as the sell-high candidate coming into this week. Just going, well, you know what? The target volume's not necessarily there, especially when Godwin comes back in the long term. Phenomenal player. I know a lot of people are very excited, but I still think that you would probably do well to see what you could get for him. And Igbuka has 7 targets. He has 4 receptions, 29 receiving yards, kind of saves you with the receiving touchdown. But again, I want to maintain my stance on Igbuka. He is here as a borderline top 20 wide receiver for us. I currently have him about wide receiver 20, sandwiched between Rome, Rashee Rice, and the same tier with Zay Flowers, Garrett Wilson, and T. Higgins rest of season. This doesn't particularly change. Still phenomenal prospect, phenomenal player, good quarterback. Again, I do think once Godwin comes back, though, you could see Igbuka kind of sliding down a tier below this. And then going over and looking at what we have with Mike Evans. Mike Evans still the number 1 alpha, 11 targets, 5 receptions, 56 receiving yards. You don't see the receiving touchdown, but I still have Mike Evans ranked as a wide receiver that you're starting every single week regardless. Now let's move this over to our next team. CJ Stroud looked horrible. I know the box score is not that bad. He had 207 passing yards, passing touchdown, no interceptions, but no, CJ Stroud looked garbage. Whether you want to blame the offensive line, whether you want to blame Stroud, I don't care. But CJ Stroud at this point looks like a quarterback that you would simply never start in fantasy. He does pick up 27 rushing yards in this game, which is whatever. But I think I would rather have like Lawrence over Stroud at this point. So I'm going to move CJ Stroud down to QB 20 behind Trevor Lawrence. He'll be at the bottom of the tier with Purdy, Michael Penix, Justin Fields, and T-Law. Then going over looking at the running backs, I have Nick Chubb in the Flock League. I have drafted a ton of him in Underdog Best Ball draft, so I was doing a little song and dance once he scored a touchdown. That was really nice. But I can't wait to get to Hampton. I can't believe I'm 2-0 right now. There's no way I can sleep tonight. Like, I know Avery's not going to be able to sleep for a completely opposite reason, but Hampton, thank you for being horrible at football. I know we're not there with the Chargers yet, but thank you so much, Hampton. I can't stop thinking about you. But anyway, looking at Nick Chubb, he's on my bench. I'm not starting him anytime soon. You have no receiving upside. It is encouraging at 29 receiving yards, but the big plays aren't exactly there. You had the 25-yard rushing touchdown, which looked like it was funny. He's doing like high knees to the end zone with nobody even around him. But best ball option, he'll get you some usable weeks. I don't necessarily know if you're excited to start him anytime. And then going over and looking at the receivers, Nico Collins, dominant target share. The dude had 9 targets out of 24 CJ Stroud pass attempts. The issue you're going to have with Nico is just it's not a good offense. So I have Nico Collins still ranked inside like the tier with like JSN, Drake London, because I can't say like, oh, Nico Collins needs to fall. Like none of these wide receivers here are confident. Am I supposed to move Nico behind London after what London just did? Am I supposed to move Nico behind Ladd McConkey after what just happened in Los Angeles? Am I supposed to move behind Bryant? No, like Nico Collins can't exactly move down. Let me make sure in the overall rankings that we have that like we have all the running backs and guys like, yeah, I would rather have James Cook over Nico Collins at this point. I'd rather have Jacobs. I'd rather have the quarterbacks. Hell, I may even rather have like Trey McBride over Nico Collins if CJ Stroud continues to look this bad. But looking at what we have with the target volume is still all going to Nico. If you had Dalton Schultz, cut Dalton Schultz. If you have Jaden Higgins probably going to be somebody that you cut. Pretty much anybody here is a cut, not named Nico. And maybe you end up getting Christian Kirk back this next week. But let's go ahead and let's pull up what we have with our next game. And this is the one I want to get to. This was the exciting one, at least for me. Obviously, very different experience depending if you needed Amari and Hampton points. But when we were fading Hampton, oh, it was beautiful. So first things first, Justin Herbert looks phenomenal. Not only do you get the 242 passing yards, multiple passing touchdowns, but you get the rushing production as well with Justin Herbert, 31 rushing yards. So Herbert looks like a quarterback now that they're actually letting him drop back, letting him throw the ball a ton. You could make an argument this dude's the QB5 in fantasy. I'd rather have him over Kyler. Like, hell, I'm moving Herbert to the QB5. Like, what else do we need to see? They're letting him drop back. They're letting him run the ball. It's not like he's had 2 cakewalk matchups. Like, the Chiefs game was pretty tough. So, yeah, I'll move Justin Herbert up to QB5. Again, I want to reiterate, like, QB5 sounds super high, but all these quarterbacks are the same after the top 4 names. But, yeah. Let's go over to the running backs. This is what we are hitting the gritty for to open up this live stream. This is why my life is better than I could ever imagine right now. Like, people complain about fantasy football. They've never had a night like I've had tonight, right? We have Amari and Hampton. I was fading. He could not score 5 points. I opened up. You'll see all this in the Flock video that comes out tomorrow. The Flock League video, that is. I was submitting clips going, you know what? I need to fade Amari and Hampton to score 5 points. This is the worst position to ever be in. Because if Amari and Hampton, like 90% of the time, he's going to get the 5 points, right? So I'm just going into this game thinking I have a chance and I'm just going to ultimately be let down. Just in the third quarter, I'm going to get stabbed in the heart. My night's going to be over. I was almost crying at the beginning of the game. I was so upset about losing this week. Like, I was so invested into this matchup. And then Amari and Hampton turns into a pumpkin. Fumbles the ball. Whether it's on Hampton, whether it's on Herbert, we'll probably figure out tomorrow morning. Looking at the ESPN box score, they're giving the fumble to Herbert. Looking at Sleeper right now, they're giving the fumble to Hampton. Regardless, obviously, if you're sweating like a 1 to 2 point difference there, you're going to be up all night thinking about it. I heard that Yahoo's already pivoted over that fumble to Justin Herbert instead. I don't know. But what I do know is Amari Hampton only had 8 carries. After the fumble, whoever's fault it was, he didn't touch the field again, and they went, Najee, we can trust you. Get your slow ass out there. Now, as somebody who was just casually watching this game, it looked like Amari Hampton was the much better running back between the two. It looked like Hampton had the juice. Obviously, when they were at the goal line, they were trying to get Amari Hampton the rushing touchdown. Nothing you can do about that. 3 defenders are getting him in the backfield before he can even take a step with the ball, right? Like, he has the 15-yard rush, breaks 3 tackles. I don't know if we saw that from Najee Harris at any point this game, but we have to move Amari Hampton down our rankings. Even if Hampton looks better, if Najee's out here getting this usage, which the fumble's not going to help that change anytime soon, how the hell can I tell you that Amari Hampton's a must-start player? How can I tell you that you need to put Amari Hampton in your starting lineup this next? I can't. So we're going to move Hampton down. I initially had Amari Hampton at RB14. I had Amari Hampton ahead of Alvin Kamara. That's way too high. Not even belonging in this tier with Chase Brown, Kyron Williamson, Kamara. Honestly, I think Amari Hampton, you have to view him similar to Trevion Henderson right now. I think we have to move Amari Hampton down 2 tiers and rank him next to Trevion Henderson, where obviously if you're looking at the other running backs in this range, like Tony Pollard, DeAndre Swift, James Conner, Javonte Williams, these are veteran running backs that you can trust this next week, but we're not really assuming they're going to get better as time goes on. Whereas Amari Hampton and Trevion Henderson, you are expecting to hopefully get better as the season progresses. So if you need a running back right now, you would way rather have Javonte Williams over Amari Hampton. But if I was looking for the long-term upside, Hampton still first-round NFL draft capital, 3-down profile, receiving skill set, good offense, elite athlete. I'm going to give Amari Hampton the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to completely write him off after the first 2 weeks of his NFL career. So I'm going to put Amari Hampton here at 19, leave him like right alongside Trevion Henderson as 2 guys that you cannot trust anytime in the short term. But in the long term, obviously, we're going to assume that they get better. Now, going over and looking at Najee Harris, where do we have Najee? I had Najee at RB54. I think Najee kind of falls into the range now, given the role and seeing that his eye is completely fine. Where he's a premium handcuff back, I'd move Najee Harris up to like RB48. Right alongside like Braylon Allen, Ray Davis, like these other running backs that you're never starting unless the starter were to go down in front of them. We're like, if you were to get an injury to Amari Hampton, Najee Harris probably becomes somebody that's the top 24 in our rankings that week, and you're probably starting. But you can say that about Braylon Allen. You can say that about Ray Davis. You can say that about Tracy, Brian Robinson, Tyler Algier. So kind of all the same range of running backs there. Now, I'm seeing people in the chat saying that they removed that fumble from Amari Hampton, or that. Let me see what it currently is on Sleeper. On Sleeper, they actually moved that fumble from Amari Hampton to Justin Herbert. So it looks like technically, if we are just looking at this for fantasy football purposes, that fumble is on Herbert. However, again, if you're the coaching staff here, I don't necessarily think you're giving Herbert a bunch of crap for that fumble. I think you're giving it to Amari Hampton. Now, not only is tonight so good because I got unbelievably lucky and won my matchup, but my number 1 most drafted player this year in Underdog Best Ball drafts, Quentin Johnston, going as the wide receiver 79, gives us another usable week. And when we were drafting Quentin Johnston as the wide receiver 7, wide receiver 8 in all those drafts, for us to get these 2 usable weeks, he's already returned value. I'm not wishing this happens. Obviously, I hope he continues to crush. I want to be rich. I want to be able to call the realtor and say, hey, Quentin Johnston just won me $1 million on Underdog. Let's go look for a lake house right now. I want to be able to do that. But Quentin Johnston could tear his ACL tomorrow, and we're good with that draft pick that we got him at that cost. Now, realistically, in your regular redraft league, can I tell you like, oh yeah, you just absolutely have to jam in Quentin Johnston? I'm not there yet. You still have a large sample of Ladd McConkey being the alpha wide receiver 1 here. You still have Keenan Allen having 5 receptions and the receiving touchdown. Quentin Johnston, if it wasn't for the 60-yard receiving TD, we would be looking at a very, very different week. You remove that one catch from Quentin Johnston. He had 2 receptions for 11 receiving yards today. So looking at what we have with the wide receivers here, I am going to move up Keenan Allen. I will move up Quentin Johnston. Like at this point, like realistically, back-to-back performances like this from Keenan. I have Stephon Diggs. I have Jerry Jeudy in the flock league. I'd probably rather have Keenan Allen over him at this point. I would like, for me personally, again, I have more money invested into Quentin Johnston this year than any other player. I hope I'm wrong. I'm still going to put like Quentin Johnston behind Jeudy, behind Diggs. I think I'd prefer them over him. And going over looking at what we have with Ladd McConkey. It's no bueno, Chief. But at the same time, who am I supposed to move by? I guess maybe Devontae. Like, can I move him behind Brian Thomas? Can I move him behind? None of these other wide receivers look good. All these other wide receivers have massive, massive red flags. And it's not like Ladd McConkey's been an absolute zero. The frustrating thing's been that you've had Quentin Johnston and you've had Keenan Allen scoring the receiving touchdowns. So if we go over and if we project this out with Ladd, very similar to what we are doing on the other side with Nico Collins, like in terms of moving him down my rankings when it comes to him versus other wide receivers, it's going to be tough. I'll probably move Alvin Kamara ahead of him. I think I'll probably prefer Kamara. So we have like Ladd 28 overall in our rankings right now. Maybe I sleep on this. Maybe I realize, well, you know what? Quentin Johnston, Keenan Allen, they're going to be there to disperse this target share all the way through. So we do need to lower him down even further than this. But Ladd McConkey had such a strong performance at the end of his rookie season. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt still. Now, let's move this over to the Raiders. And with the Raiders, I'm not going to lie to you. I had no investment into this game. I was sweating Amari Hampton so much that the only thing that I cared about, I was like, oh, pick up a first down. Kill time on the clock. Don't give the ball back to the Chargers. That was the only thing I was rooting for with the Raiders team. Geno Smith. Okay, so I understand I'm a lot smarter than a lot of y'all, right? I've done years and years and years of research, studied under the best professors, under the best mentors, for them to teach me how to evaluate quarterback play at a level that y'all couldn't even begin to comprehend, right? I'm working at just 5 levels beyond you. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret between me and the inner circle. Geno Smith, this wasn't a good game. Not good. No bueno. 43 pass attempts, 180 passing yards, 3 interceptions, and 0 touchdowns. Again, I know a lot of y'all go like, oh, is that good or is that bad? I'm here to tell you right now, that's not good. Some may even say it's really bad. And yeah, I see people saying that he threw it away on 4th down as well. And that's also something that's not good, just in case anybody doesn't know. And I will say, I was like watching the game on the monitor. I was sweating Amari and Hampton. I saw Geno like scramble around, throw it away on 4th down. I was like, oh, I thought that was 4th. Was that 3rd down instead? And yeah. And let's move this over and let's look at Geno Smith in our quarterback rankings. Where do we have this dude? I mean, obviously the passing volume was insane against the New England Patriots, but the Patriots have a trash secondary, evidenced by Tua actually being able to put up passing volume against them. So Geno, right now, I have like in the same tier as McCarthy, Cam Ward, Matthew Stafford, Bryce Young. Geno gives you at least a little rushing upside. Like you get 20 rushing. But honestly, at this point, I think you'd rather have Stafford over him. But reality of the situation is none of these quarterbacks are interesting whatsoever unless you're in a scenario in which it's unless it's going to be a super flex league. Then sure, these quarterback rankings matter. But the only QBs that I would say that could even justify a roster spot would be the QBs inside the top 20 ranks. Okay. Now looking at the running backs here, Ashton Genty looks great. Like breaking tackles, making guys miss. Now again, the stat that was hilarious with week 1 was you had Ashton Genty with more yards after contact than total yards in the game. This Raiders offensive line is hot garbage. And Geno Smith, like I said, I'm a master of quarterback evaluation, and he's not good. So it's not helping Ashton Jeanty whatsoever. It's a bad team. Jeanty's stuck on it. Going over and looking at what we have with our Jeanty ranking. At this point, how the hell could I look you in the eyes and rank him ahead of James Cook? The answer is we can't. Even though he's a rookie, even though he looks good on a per touch perspective, the Raiders are one of the worst offenses in the league and the Bills are one of the best. So we're going to move Jeanty down. Honestly, like I can't begin to justify having Ashton Jeanty over any running back in this tier. So not only is he going to slide, but he's going to fall down another tier as well. And then going over and looking at what Jeanty was able to do as a receiver, I honestly, watching the game, I thought he had more than this. He had 3 receptions for 1 receiving yard. Like, again, I can't justify having Ashton Jeanty in that same tier of the true RB1s. He's not a top 10 guy at this point. Ashton Jeanty's an RB2. He still looks super talented. It's just such a bad situation. Now, looking at Jakobi Meyers, Meyers is rising up, 12 targets in this game. He is the one with all the volume, 68 receiving yards for Jakobi out of a total of 180 passing yards. Now, Brock Bowers didn't look healthy in this game. Like, we'll get to Bowers in just one second. But with Jakobi, I mean, the market share numbers are phenomenal. What's really surprising here, I know we talked about this before, but the Raiders, new coaching staff, new quarterback, they draft a wide receiver in the second round. They draft another wide receiver on day 3. They sign Amari Cooper. And then Jakobi Meyers requests a trade. We have 6 things changing this situation completely. Yet Jakobi Meyers is still the wide receiver 1 here when it's all said and done. It doesn't matter. So if I'm looking at Jakobi in my rankings, there was so much smoke before this. But at this point, I'll move Jakobi to, at the very minimum, top of the tier that we had him in. Like, I don't think you can justify having DJ Moore over Jakobi Meyers at this point. Even if this offense is garbage, I honestly think you can't even justify having Jakobi Meyers in that same tier. I know wide receiver 32 sounds incredibly low. I think that the reality of the situation is all these wide receivers, 25 through 32, they're all about the same. Metcalf, Pickens, Debo, Terry, Hunter, Jamo, Smith, Myers. You rank them in whatever order that you want. They're all flex plays. They're all probably going to give you booms. They're all probably going to give you bust. If Jakobi Meyers comes through with another week like he just had, or another week like what we saw in week 1, Jakobi Meyers will probably jump to the very top of this tier, if not to the tier above it with like Zay Flowers, Rashee Rice, Garrett Wilson. So I think this tier wide receivers, it's up to personal preference. Jakobi Meyers definitely has earned a spot in it, but borderline flex play. I think it would be a lot more exciting if it wasn't the garbage offense. Going over looking at Brock Bowers. Bowers did not practice all week until Saturday. No practice on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Like I thought Bowers wasn't going to play. We taught a live stream, you can't trust Brock Bowers. Then he gets in the Saturday practice. Not only does he practice on Saturday, but they tell us, oh, he looks great. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, if Brock Bowers, quote unquote, looks great, you got to play him. I don't feel too bad about telling people to play him because 9 points about is much better than whatever the hell I put in my tight end slot this weekend with TJ Hawkinson. Am I going to be moving Bowers down from where we had him at tight end 2? No, I think Bowers needs to get healthy. You look at the large sample of games that we had last year. Look at what we saw week 1 as well. I think Bowers is still just fine. So we're going to have Trey McBride, tight end 1, Bowers 2, Tyler Warren 3, Tucker Kraft 4, Kittle 5, and Sam Laporta 6. But I mean, you also had like the big brace on Brock Bowers' knee. I think what we need to just be more realistic with, and the thing is, you're starting Brock Bowers regardless, right? You're not going to be able to go to the waiver wire. You're not going to be able to find a reasonable tight end that you could grab to put in over Brock Bowers. If you were to do that, you would have a couple screws loose in the head. So I think you're just leaving Brock Bowers in your lineup. You're hoping that he gets healthier, and we're hoping that we see some full practices before Friday this next week. And let me see if there's anything else to talk about. Deontay Thornton, not worth the roster. And nobody's worth the roster spot in this team. It's Genty, it's Bowers, and it's Myers. You got one wide receiver, one tight end, and one running back. But I think that's all I got. Again, we talked about all of the teams at the very beginning. Hell, if you restart this live stream when we end it, you will see me hitting the gritty at the beginning of this stream because we just had the best week of fantasy football of my entire life. Oh, it was a beautiful, beautiful win. And let me submit these rankings and let me see where I currently stand in the Flock League Analyzer, because I actually had a couple players get nuked in the rankings this week. I had T. Higgins get nuked, as well as I had TJ Hawkinson get nuked. So previously I was the #1 team in the League Analyzer on the site, but sadly it looks like I have fallen down to the 3 spot. If you're using my rankings, which of course typically I'm going to be a little bit higher on my players, which is why I drafted them, which is why I traded for them, I would still be #1 in the League Analyzer, but we're going to be 2-0. You will see that here with the record after the week rolls over. Wide receiver is a complete dumpster fire. We got the elite quarterback. We got the running back production, but that's about it. We need help at wide receiver. We need help at tight end. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be hitting the waiver wire. How you do that is with the League Analyzer. Just go over to the waiver wire column in the far right. Just go through, click through it. You can see that in the Flock League, the best quarterbacks available on the waiver wire: Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Daniel Jones. The best running backs are Tyler Algier, Braylon Allen, Blake Corum. The best wide receivers are Troy Franklin, Rashad Bateman. And the best tight ends are like Dallas Goedert, Cade Otton, and Isaiah Likely. But if you don't have your league already linked, super simple. All you got to do is go click this button, hit manage. You can link your Sleeper league by just copying and pasting the league ID. You can find that with the URL on Sleeper. You can link Yahoo by just hitting submit. It will take you to Yahoo. You sign in, they send us all your leagues. And you could also link with ESPN. ESPN's a little bit more complicated. We made it about as easy as we could. You just got to sign into ESPN on one window, sign into flockfantasy.com on another window, install the browser extension, just hit get extension, open it up, hit sync, and it's going to pull your ESPN leagues into flockfantasy.com. And then from there, they'll automatically update through the rest of the season where you'll never have to worry about it again. For ESPN, I would recommend doing that on desktop, and I would recommend using a browser that is not Safari. But I will send over the link to flockfantasy.com in the chat. It's also in the description and comment section. It's just the link that says link your team for free. It's going to help you a bunch with your waiver wire, know where you're weak, know where you're strong. And I'm excited for this. Again, I want to remind y'all that I'm going to be live streaming every single day with fantasy football game reactions, plus answering your fantasy football questions. So if you have not done so already, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell next to the subscribe button if you want to come out to these live streams with us. And I'm going to end this stream now, but if you want to see us hit the gritty, you can rewind to the beginning of the stream where we did it there. But I think that's all I got for y'all. I really appreciate you, and I really hope we get to see you out with the video where we're answering questions tomorrow.